it was, a few months ago, we got an email and it was from a major publishing company. And our first thought is, we're being spammed. This is a spam. And I even went on Instagram and looked up this person. I'm like, oh my goodness, she does work for this publishing company. And so we contacted her and she was interested in, they were looking for an author for a specific type of book on marriage. And we interviewed with her and she had us submit this writing and all that. And at the end of the day, she chose us to write and publish a book. And this major company is going to publish it for us. But how she found us was on Instagram. And we're not somebody who has the 10,000 plus followers. We're not real small, but we are by no means big. And, if I were to submit this in, a publishing company would probably tell me I don't have enough followers. But because she was searching through hashtags, and that's how she found us, through a specific hashtag, which you taught us all about, then she started reading our content. She saw the look of our page. And so, the branding colors, and it looked professional, and our content was good, and we had good engagement. And so it was very clear to her that people like what we have.
Hey there, it's Ruthie from RuthieGray.mom, and welcome to Instagram Insider Hacks. So easy, your mom can do it. This is the podcast that teaches you how to authentically deliver your message in a non-pushy way. If you want to receive engagement and investment on your Insta time, listen in. And now, here's your host, me, Ruthie Gray. Welcome to another episode of the Insta Transformation series. Today, I'm featuring pro coaching member Jamie Bailey from Expedition Marriage on Instagram. These interview episodes highlight pro coaching members sharing their personal triumphs and how they made Instagram work for them. Jamie Bailey is a professional Christian counselor and marriage coach. Together with her husband, they run a private practice and a marriage ministry, Expedition Marriage. You can find Jamie in her office, speaking, leading marriage retreats, or teaching seminars. She's been a wife for 25 years and is a mom to 3 adult daughters and 2 precious grandkids. Jamie has a passion for helping healthy couples continue to thrive and helping hurting couples find the fullness in Christ that they were meant for. And it is a pleasure to have you on the show today. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you. It's so great to be here chatting with you.
Jamie and I have gotten to know each other in the last year, and she is just a delight. I think we share a lot of the same sense of humor. We have worked together on different things, and she, like I said, she's a pro coaching member. So, Jamie, I would like to just jump right in today, and let's talk about your Insta-life before the transformation.
Okay, so we've been on Instagram for a little over a year, and I will just tell you, completely clueless, all things Instagram. The learning curve was just so huge for me. And so when we entered on, we saw clients one at a time, just every hour, and we wanted to cast our net wider. And so we knew Instagram was going to be the launching pad for that, to reach more people with the message that we had. But the problem was, zero idea how to do that. And so where we started is, I played around with, formatting things and branding and all that, just, winging it, not knowing what I'm doing. And really is if you look at our Instagram from the beginning, what you will find is a whole bunch of quotes. And they're good nuggets. Golden nuggets, they're truth, they're hard hitting, but that's what our entire page was just a bunch of quotes. And they were coming at you every day. Every day we're just throwing them all. And so that's kind of what we did. And we knew from the beginning, we always wanted authentic followers. And so we were fine with the slow and steady, but we didn't know what we were doing was making it really slow. And so we weren't able to cast that net nearly as wide as we were hoping to. And so it was a slow beginning, but it was always important to build authentic followers. So we were never going to, pay for any followers or go that route and try all those strategies, because we want the people who God has for us.
Right, exactly. And that is something that I always talk about. It's the growth is slow if it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
authentic and organic, and you're going to create relationships and connections that are meaningful, and that you can speak life into those people. And so, what kind of engagement did you have during these days when you were throwing up those golden nugget quotes?
We would get some likes, but never or very rarely would we get comments. Occasionally something would come through our DM, but there was really no engagement. And at that point, I didn't even know to engage with other people. And so it was really, really slim pickings when it came to comments, on our page. But the people were liking it, but they weren't interacting with it. And that was a huge difference.
Did you find that discouraging? Were you wondering if you were on the right platform? What were your thoughts during this time, and what made you decide that maybe you needed some help?
Well, discouraging may not be the right word, but frustrating is, because I was confident. My husband and I are confident in what we put out there. We knew that we had great stuff. It just wasn't falling on the right ears. We just didn't have the people for it. And so it was a little frustrating putting out such great stuff. And it's like, why isn't anybody interacting with this? Why isn't anybody, do you not know how good this is? It's kind of how we were feeling. And so it felt like we were spinning our wheels, and I was constantly creating content, creating quotes, and, never going to reuse anything. Everything had to be brand new, and putting it all out there. And it was a lot of work for a little bit of results. And so that it wasn't discouraging, but it was frustrating for us.
Yeah. I mean, I've been there. I know what that's like. You put all
Mm-hmm.
that time into it. The posts are good, and you're just like, what is wrong? And so then you realize there's got to be more to this. There's something I'm missing.
Yes.
So do you remember that, that key point, that time trigger that happened to you, and what you decided to do about it?
Well, I was just like I was saying, I was so confident in our message, and I knew would start listening to podcasts and things like that. Jennifer Allwood, who I know you're a fan of as well. And, I just started being opened, to new ideas. And for me, the struggle was, okay, I've got to invest in learning. And that's when I came across you, specialized in Instagram. And Instagram was always very intimidating to me. And so that, if anything held me back, it was that. It was overwhelming to learn all of the things. And that's when, looking through your stuff, because I was just creeping for a while, and watching everybody else do it. And they would post and they do your story challenge. And I'm like, I don't even know how to do that. And that's when I knew, I'm like, okay, I want to do that, because I wasn't doing stories. I was just in my feed. And so that's when I knew I need to start challenging myself. And that's kind of where I stepped out and took your story challenge. And I remember it blew my mind when I could change my screen of color. When you taught us how to do that, I'm like, oh, a whole new world has opened up. And we have put our little hats on our little profile picture in there, or our little selfie shot in there, and all of these things. And so I just decided I've got to take a step and learn. And it's okay if I do it one step at a time.
And what Jamie is talking about is something we referred to in episode 4 with Kathy Ladansky. And that is the 7-day Instagram story challenge, which is completely free. And I'll put it in the show notes. But a lot of people don't realize that there is way more to Instagram than just your feed posts.
Yes.
There's a whole, like you said, there's a whole new world out there once you add the video aspect. And the easiest way to add the video aspect first is through stories. And so this Instagram challenge just kind of makes it fun. And I could tell that it kind of flipped a switch with you, and you just started coming alive in those stories.
Yes. And so there was a lot. I was loving all the new things to do. And yeah, I mean, Instagram, here's what scared me the most about Instagram is you're kind of committed once you put it out there. I mean, you can delete it, but if it goes up fast, you don't really have a lot of preview time to it and it's out there. And if you're doing a story, it's got to go in order and all of that. And then you can't edit on Instagram stories. Once it's posted. And so that take back. So that would always keep me from doing it, but in talking with you and going through years, it's like, just do it. It's okay if you mess it up, just do it. And those little baby steps, one at a time, like that's where I got my wings, is just go ahead and do it. And if you mess it up, it's okay. It's funny. And you're now relatable. And that was okay.
That's exactly right. And there is you can delete your stories if you want to, but you can become so perfectionistic about everything you do that then you end up frozen and you don't do anything. And so I think
that was the camp I was in.
Yeah. So I think it's important to get busy and get started. And you did. And then I think after that is when you joined my Instagram Pro membership. Is that right?
Yes. After I had done a couple of the challenges, I'm like, okay, I want to keep growing in this. This is working for me. And at that point, I wasn't even looking at my numbers. I wasn't looking at engagement. What I needed to work on was my own comfort level. I needed to be secure with putting myself out there. And through some of the training and through that program with you, those are the things that helped me the most. And I think one of the biggest things I learned from you is that people wanted to see me. They wanted to know about my life and I put out great content, but nobody really trusts, wisdom from somebody they don't even know. And so I realized, through your help, it's like people want to know who's behind the account. And so I'm like, really? They really want to know what I had for breakfast? They do. And so I started learning how to share, myself. And so people, our followers, they know who is behind our account now.
Yes. And I remember that conversation so well with you. We had a coaching call and you said, Ruthie, I said, you need to start sharing something personal about yourself. You don't have to share everything, but start sharing something like you have a dog, share about your cute little dog. And you were like, well, I mean, there's nothing really interesting about me at all. And I said, listen, it doesn't have to seem groundbreaking to you, but what people need is something to latch onto. And I remember when it clicked with you and you started going for it. And what were some of the things that you decided that you were going to share about yourself personally?
Well, at that time, and that's why I felt like, okay, my life is so boring. I had several surgeries on my ankle. I had 9 surgeries and I was kind of incapacitated, not able to walk for the past year. So I'm like, I'm not doing a whole lot, but you encouraged me to share about that. And I started sharing, my testimony with my foot and the frustration of not being able to walk. And I just, went on a trip to Seattle to get this, prosthetic device fit for my leg. And I posted that journey, and it's even in my story highlights now to share. And through that, I have had so many people, they have cried with me. They have laughed with me. They have cried tears of joy, seeing me take my first steps. Like all of Instagram got to see me take my first steps I've taken in over a year, and so I think it was great for them to see me as a real person and to relate, because even if they weren't struggling with their foot, people are struggling with things that are holding them back. And that made me very relatable. And on the flip side, it was so empowering to me. I'm like, these people are cheering me on. It's like they love me. They're for me and they're excited for me. And I think it was just this mutually beneficial relationship I had with our followers. And so it was so great. And so even though their story is not the same, we've all got a story of hardship. And so it was really important to share that with our people because that's a big part of who I am.
I love that. And I remember you saying that. I'm laid up. There's not much that's going on in my life right now. And I said, share that because people are going to rally around you. They're going to start, the people that are also struggling with these kind of things, or even other things, like you said,
Mhm.
are going to be able to relate to you, and it will take you to a whole new level. And this did bring about a transformation for you. This was the breakthrough, I felt like.
Yes.
And so, how has all of that then been able to help you reach your target audience, which is couples?
Well, one of the things you helped with, in addition to that, in the course and in the coaching group I was in with you, is you helped me set up and identify what are we about here. And so we began to plan and strategize to show we looked inward and we're like, what is the core of our message and of us as a couple and what we're trying to do? And that helped us narrow down. And now we came up with a plan. We have a scheduled plan, and it's okay if we go off here and there if we want to add something, but we know we're about our faith and helping couples, have that God-centered marriage. We're about giving truth and wisdom. We're about fun, and encouragement. We want couples to have fun and to be real, and we're about authenticity. And when we took those things, that became the foundation and the format for what we were going to put out there. And so it no longer was, okay, let me think of what quote, what content and all that. No, we narrowed down what we were about, and that's what the world gets. Those are our priorities. Those are our top things. And so that's what we put out there. And so that has been game changing for us. And that has attracted, since it was more narrow, it's attracted our specific people that we're looking for, and the specific people who are looking for us. We made it very clear what we're about and what we're doing here. And so when people need that, they can come right to us.
And so, having those categories just frees you up, doesn't it? It just makes your plan.
Oh, completely. It's so much easier to plan and to create content when I know what I'm creating it about, instead of just trying to randomly come up with stuff all the time.
Exactly. So there was the transformation. And then after that, and you became consistent with your plan and how you did things. And I know that you became comfortable sharing lives and, IGTV and all of that. It was all working together so well. Then something exciting happened. Share that with us.
Yes, this just like blew our mind. It was, a few months ago, we got an email, and it was from a major publishing company. And our first thought is, we're being spammed. This is a spam. And I even went on Instagram and looked up this person. I'm like, oh my goodness, she does work for this publishing company. And so we contacted her, and she was interested they were looking for an author for a specific type of book on marriage. And we interviewed with her, and she had us submit this writing and all that. And at the end of the day, she chose us to write and publish a book. And this major company is going to publish it for us. But how she found us was on Instagram. And we're not somebody who has the 10,000 plus followers. We're not real small, but we are by no means big. And, if I were to submit this in, a publishing company would probably tell me I don't have enough followers. But because she was searching through hashtags, and that's how she found us, through a specific hashtag, which you taught us all about, then she started reading our content. She saw the look of our page. And so, the branding colors, and it looked professional, and our content was good, and we had good engagement. And so it was very clear to her that people like what we have. And so we're the couple that they're taking a risk on, but they believe, based on what they found on Instagram from us, that we're worth that risk. And so out of all this, just from Instagram and just from learning how to be authentic and have that clear vision, we had a publisher come to us, and we're going to be having a book come out at the end of this year. And I have longed to write a book for as long as I can remember. And I was always held back because of that learning curve again. I don't know how to put all this together and all the steps. And so to have this just dropped in our lap, I mean, that is a huge gift from God, and also evidence of what we're doing on Instagram and what we've learned. It's working. It's working. So that is a huge deal. And we are super excited about that.
I remember the day you sent me that DM, and we were just rejoicing together. And it just goes to show you that it's not about the numbers, it's about the connections.
Right. Right. And I think that's one of the things they saw, was that my numbers may not be where they typically should be for writing a book, but my people are my people. And they could see that, okay, they have true engagement and true followers. And that's the thing that's mattered to us from the very beginning.
Yes. And I don't want to give the impression that it's not good to have good numbers, because it is. It's good
Right.
you want to grow your following and you want to reach more people, and that's how that's going to happen. But even if you have a small following, even if you're just starting out, if you will create a plan and maintain consistency and be authentic and real, then your tribe is going to come. You just have to be clear about what that tribe is. And you and Chris have all that.
Mm-hmm. And we tried and we worked for it. And you were like a huge part of that, just helping us identify and put out there exactly what we're about. Because people need to, when they come to your page, it needs to almost jump off the screen at them what you stand for and what you're about. They want to know what they can rely on, what they can depend on, receiving from you. And that's why people follow you, is they look and they're like, I want what they're putting out. And before, you wouldn't have known what we were putting out. It just would have been some fun quotes here and there, some encouragement here and there. But now it's very clear what we're about. And so people know right away from the beginning, I want that, or that's not for me.
Yeah.
And so that has helped us huge to just identify who we are and own it and go with that.
So important, from the bio to the feed to stories. It all complements what your main message is, while sharing your true transparency in your own lives.
Right.
I love that. Well, Jamie, this has been so refreshing. I've really enjoyed chatting with you today. You're such a light in this world, and I enjoy your sense of humor too. Where can people find you?
Well, they can find us on Instagram for sure at expedition_marriage. We're there. We're also on Facebook at Expedition Marriage, and you can find us online at expeditionmarriage.org.
Awesome. And we are looking forward to that book that's going to come out. When do you think that will release?
Well, right now it's set for around November. And so we'll see. It's a little early to tell, but we've been hitting all the deadlines and running hard with it. And so hopefully the release is going to be set for November, and we'll stick to that.
Well, we are cheering you on and can't wait to see that book. And so go visit Jamie and Chris over at Expedition Marriage and check out their stories, especially because it's going to be fun.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you so much again, Jamie, for being with us.
Thank you, Ruthie.